Welcome to episode 6 of the Real Estate Den. We have Kelsey coming in from Hawaii for this episode, and Jay and Paula from Brazil, but kind of all over. Welcome. We'll start with Kelsey, and you just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located and what year you got in the business.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me to start. So I got into real estate in 2019, got my license. I started with Coldwell Banker, and I ended up selling 12.2 million my first year, and got a Rookie of the Year award at my company. So that was about 17 sides in Hawaii, and pretty significant considering that the Philly rate's kind of high is something that was surprising to me, something I didn't expect to happen. The next year I did 25 million, built a team, and I've been pretty consistently happy at that 25 million number. Now I do have an Airbnb in Las Vegas. I have a company called Jetpack Social where we speak and we coach, we have events and we do courses. And one of my favorite things to do is fix and flipping single family homes in Hawaii.
Jay and Paula, tell us a little bit about you guys and your background and what you do.
So our background is real estate and finance, 29 years for myself. And Paula has been an underwriter for banks and financial institutions for 19 years. And we got into flipping and wholesaling as investing. And then we have recently moved into, we have a management team that we acquire Airbnb properties or short-term rentals across the nation. We don't just do Airbnbs because that's kind of a shaky market right now, but the properties that we acquire will assess and analyze which strategy is best, whether it's Airbnb or maybe it's corporate housing or medical housing, military base housing, university housing, right? So all of those strategies are whichever one provides the best monthly revenue. That's our strategy that we choose.
Well, the other thing we like to do with that too is kind of keep them all clustered together and kind of keep it so they're more of a higher end stay, so that people coming feel like they just, a nice luxury trip and get all the amenities with it. And again, keeping them close together helps us with our cleaning crews and our maintenance crews and all that, so that we can keep costs down.
Yeah, the economies of scale. So if we started out with just one or two properties that we were renting out as Airbnb. And the problem with that is, like, some of our properties are in Park City, Utah, and those are doing really great right now. They're doing well. The celebrities coming for the Sundance Film Festival, and they're all booked out. But during the summer, they're all dead. Like, there's just nobody staying in our properties. And if you're an investor, that's your worst nightmare, is to have a property that's sitting vacant and not making money. So our management team, we've acquired nearly 50 properties across the US. And that way, if Park City's not doing well, or something happens in New York City where they come down with restrictions that make it so it's not a great market for Airbnbs, now we still have properties in Florida and California and other places across the US that are still renting really well, and they're booked out. So we're diversifying, and we're able to, not just our properties, but we're able to manage other investors' Airbnbs and turn them into a better managed property system. It's like a mini micro hotel system. It's a concierge system.
Cool. So you guys are helping manage other Airbnbs, or you're actually acquiring these, or you're like partnering with them, and Kind of
All of
explain.
the above.
Yes,
Okay.
all of the above. Yeah.
Awesome. So you were like the Airbnb people, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's our passion. We still do the flips, and we still do we get into apartment buildings, and we do other multifamilies and commercial, even hotels and resorts. But Airbnb is kind of that's our bread and butter. That's where that's our passion. Our management team, we set some up in Houston, Texas, and we flew our management team in there. They spent about 3 weeks. They have professional designers that design all the mansions in Beverly Hills and LA.
Create
And
a theme for the
yeah,
place.
they create a theme. They go in and they hire the cleaners and the maintenance people. They put all the digital locks on and the cameras and the noise meters, and then they train all of our staff and our people that are going to maintain that place. And then we're able to maintain everything virtually, which we're in Brazil right now. So we have to be able to manage all of our properties from
Remote.
anywhere in the world, from the beach is
That's right.
preferable,
From the
right?
beach.
Cool. I'm excited to get into that. So I'm gonna jump back to Kelsey. I mean, most agents don't accelerate that quickly into their business and into sales. I mean, 12.2 rookie of the year. What did you do? Are you originally from Hawaii? Did you have a really strong sphere? Did you tell us a little bit how you were able
No. Yeah, so that's the surprising part. I guess why I'm kind of an anomaly is I'm not from Hawaii. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I did not have a sphere when I came here at all. I made my friends on Facebook groups and social media. Started 100% from nothing. Like I didn't even have a friend to like invite out for dinner. Um, as far as that goes. So yeah, so that was pretty surprising. And I actually did all of it with social media leads, just connecting with people on Facebook. And that's how I found my team members. That's how I found agents to work with me. That's how I find off market deals. And it sort of all came from just my Facebook account, which is kind of cool.
Okay, so you started doing social media leads, like paid leads through your business Facebook page, or
No, so I didn't pay for any leads because I couldn't afford it. Honestly, like when I started real estate, I didn't even have like $200 in the bank. I actually had to skip like 2 mortgage payments on our house in Florida to afford it. So it was a big risk that I took. I tried to pay for leads, but then my card declined. So I figured I could just do what I took from the multi-level marketing world, which is create a Facebook group, add people that might be interested into my group, and then start to make little micro blogs and start to nurture them, become friends with them, and create my own sphere basically within that way. So it's kind of a sad story, like how I ended up in real estate. This was my first real professional job ever. I had done some SEO and copywriting, a little bit, like 1099, maybe like 5 hours a week or so. I think the copywriting really did help propel me, but I've never had like a salaried or professional job where I've had time off or a serious title. So I got into real estate because like we were literally starving. Like I couldn't afford to feed my child. Our tenants on the mainland weren't paying rent on our rental. And it was like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't want to go back to school. I don't have the bandwidth because we're living in poverty and we can barely afford to like eat day to day. So if I could Uber to make like $10, that would be like life changing for us. So ultimately, I was just following someone on Facebook and she was in real estate. And I had no idea what that was or what that meant or what it meant to be a realtor. Just one experience buying a house is not real estate experience. I knew that it wasn't. But I saw that she was successful. She had my dream car. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a try and see how I do in sales. Ultimately, it worked out. But I would have been happy to close like one deal a year.
okay, that's amazing. What can I ask what MLM group you were a part of before you got into real estate?
Yeah. So I tried most of them, like Plexus, Senegence. I noticed what other people were doing to sell me into the MLM. So more than it was my strategy to sell MLM, I didn't do well with those. I thought I was like a complete failure. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even make like $300. Like I'm such a loser. There's no way that I could do anything if I can't do this. And I didn't realize like the failure rate was so high, probably even more so than real estate. So I noticed that they would add me into their group, and then sort of bring me into the funnel. So I created the same thing for real estate.
That's awesome. Okay, I love that. You're like, I keep getting sold. How do they keep getting me? Like, dang it. Um,
Yes.
all right, back to Jay and Paula. What sort of, because I know you guys have been doing this a long time. Before you guys, like what attracted you to the industry in real estate, and like what got you into wanting to do this? I'm assuming the flexibility. I mean, you moved to Brazil. That's pretty cool.
Flexibility is big. I mean, we were working our 9 to 5 jobs. The biggest thing that got us actually into investing was watching other investors as we worked on their loans, making, big chunks of money while we were just making our little commissions on it. And so we started looking into the investing side of it and learned that it's really a whole different world than just working in mortgages and doing our 9 to 5. So it was really eye-opening, and that's what got us into it. And I've always loved houses and even, fixing up old houses. So it kind of fit. And the two of us talked about it, and we decided to go for it, really.
Yeah. So,
Oh, go ahead.
well, so a funny story there with, we've always involved our kids. And, we would take our kids to flips that we were working on, and he was what, like 8 years old?
Yeah, somewhere in there, 6,
9.
7, 8. Yeah.
He was our son would show up to places, and he got so used to how we would look at places. We'd walk through and he'd see, and he'd say, okay, look, this is a great place here, but it doesn't have a master suite, so we need to add a bathroom here. And then he'd walk out back and he'd see that, wow, we got to clean up all these trees, and we got to get the landscape looking good, and we can put a barbecue with a little barbecue pit out here. Mm-hmm. And that will be our sizzle.
Yeah.
We used to call it sizzle, and one little piece that he would always find something walking through whatever house it was that would be the one sizzle piece that would sell our house when we were done with the flip.
Yeah, he was always excited to go walk through houses.
That's so cute. So how long have you two been together then?
We're about to hit 20 years.
Yeah, we've been married 19.
19. Yeah.
Okay, so 19 years, and you have one son or more children?
We have 4.
4 children.
Yeah.
2 boys, 2 girls.
And you work and live together, and I think, that in and of itself would deserve its own podcast, I think, of relationship advice. We could get from like 19 years and doing all this stuff together.
Yep.
What do you think is a good thing if somebody's listening and they're like, man, I really want to get into Airbnb or like real estate investing, like what is that first, like what are you looking for in a good property and a good purchase? And we'll start with Jay and Paula, and then we'll go over to Kelsey.
Okay, so for us, and see, Paula's the underwriter, right? So she has a full team of people that analyze everything. They run the numbers. For us, it's more about the numbers and the amount of return, what the dollar amount is that we're going to be able to generate from that property. What we're looking for as far as Airbnbs, if I had any advice, it would be don't do just one. Like that's kind of the old way of doing Airbnbs. Is they get one property and they go, hey, I can make some extra money as a side hustle, and they list it. They have, minimal furniture. It's not a great experience. It's supposed to replace hotels, but it's not a consistent income. Whereas my advice would be get into something that's more like a property management company, where we have, like I said, we have 50 properties across the US, and then we're expanding international markets. But that way, if one property has problems, or if there's maintenance issues, you still have 49 other properties that are picking up the slack, and you're still making money. So that's my advice: is don't just get into Airbnbs. Make sure that we have corporate housing contracts with corporations that bring traveling nurses in, and they bring their employees in, and they come in for conferences, and they contract to use our housing for military bases. Most people don't realize that military bases have graduations every week, and the families come in for their graduation ceremony, and the base housing is contracted with us to stay in our housing.
Yeah. I think as the research side of it, my advice would be to location, right? Real estate's always location, location, location. But you want a place, like you said, whether it's next to a medical facility or maybe even next to an airport. But if you're looking at the short-term rental as far as the vacationer, where is it located? Is it next to, you know, something that people want to go see, or you know, beachfront? You know, Hawaii and Brazil are great for beachfront. But that's where I would start. Is first, is it a location that people actually want to go to?
Well, so here's an example, like Texas is our next big one. Frisco, Texas is where we're going to be opening up about 10 to 20 Airbnbs in that area.
Wow.
Because Universal Studios has announced that they're opening up a new theme park in Frisco, Texas. So, and right now we've done the research. Frisco, Texas is an amazing place for Airbnbs. It has lots of attractions, has lots of lakes and waterfront properties. And that area, but right now is doing really well. So imagine what it will do when you bring a Universal Studios theme park into the area.
Yeah. How do you keep up on that stuff? Do you have like because like it might be it's kind of overwhelming if you have to keep up on every little up and coming right? Or do you kind of like
There's lots of
news, or
yeah, so that you can set up announcements and different things, so you get like sent to your email notifications of new things that are going on in real estate. I mean, whether it's Airbnb or whether, you know, it's a different flipping idea. So I get lots of things just sent to my email that I can look at it and browse and see if there's anything of interest for me to research further.
okay.
You know, and keep networking, because that's the biggest thing. It's just networking with people and seeing what's going on out there, because there's just, you can't be everywhere at once, but there is people everywhere.
Right, absolutely. Cool. Well, that's interesting. So Frisco's the next is a good place to invest for that upcoming reason. Cool. Kelsey, you said you have a Airbnb in Vegas. Are you wanting
Yes.
to get more?
I'm sorry.
Are you wanting to get more? How has that been going? How do you like it?
Okay, so they are like 5 to 10 years in my future of like where I would like to be. It's my first one, and I actually bought it subject to. That's how I was able to acquire it with no money down. It was a pre-foreclosure. So I took the seller's note and then was able to transfer it into my name, which does have its risk. But my attorney said she's never seen a note get called due that was performing. So I haven't actually had more than one booking yet. So we'll see how it goes. I am looking to contract with a management company. But one of the reasons I got it was so my daughter could go practice for circus school in Hawaii. So Hawaii, they call Vegas like the ninth island for people who live in Hawaii. There's a huge community between. So I'm interested to see how it goes, because I would like businesses and to benefit from economies of scale that don't require me to be the main driver, like active real estate sales does. Not that I won't always do that. But yeah, I something I want to learn more about. And I feel like education is always like the best first step, because, you know, you can make money in real estate. You can also lose a lot of money. And then I did have a question for Jay, if that might be okay to ask.
Of course, please.
Jay, how did you come across those the contracts with the military? Because I live in a heavily populated military area, and I was just wondering, like, instead of just having my short term, or even the house I own now, I'd like to buy another, maybe have this one be, where do you be a short term rental? How do you come across those contracts? Is that just networking, relationships?
Yeah, so we actually have one of our partners is a veteran,
Okay.
and so he's used to he goes out and he secures military contracts and government contracts.
Oh, goodness.
So I mean, we can give you some advice and we can connect you with him as
Yeah,
far as being able to know which person to go into. Because they
sure.
take care of the base housing that's their whole job, is to make sure that there's
Okay.
enough housing for the base. Um,
Okay.
I do have a question or something to add to your situation with the
Of
sub
course.
two.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and you said that your attorneys never encountered anybody that's ever had a note called due.
That's what she said. Yes.
Yeah. So here's
Our
something.
hands are up in the air. We have.
Yeah. Here's something really. This is ironic, but scary.
Okay.
We've had a property called due on us. The note was
Okay.
called due.
Okay.
I'll tell you, it was the scariest thing in our lives, because when we first started out
Yeah.
investing, our mentors told us the same thing. They said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just go get these properties under contract, get them sub two. Don't worry about it. Nobody ever gets caught. If it ever happens, it won't be a big deal." It
Sure.
was horrifying.
It was really
And was it your
scary.
first? Was it your first sub too?
It was, well, we had several. We went out and got
Okay.
like a handful of them.
Sure.
And what people don't realize is that banks love to call notes due. And the reason they do is because when rates are really, really low, that everybody's
Right.
getting loaned. But when rates
Of
go
course.
up like they're going up right now, you know what banks love
Right.
to do? They want to force you to refinance at that higher rate.
That
And so,
totally makes sense. And that's a big fear of mine. And I'm glad we're talking about this. And I'd love to see about your mentorship and the coaching you do as well from you guys, if you wouldn't mind talking to me about that. Maybe
absolutely.
after this call sometime. But yeah, how did it go when the note got called due? Like, what do you do?
So okay, and so we tell this story a lot because it's
Okay.
like we're the caution, the warning, the
Cautionary
cautionary
Sure.
tale.
Yeah, worst case scenario, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's teams of people that sit at banks, and what they do is they check to see if you've changed title for the mortgage.
Makes sense.
And when they see that you've changed title, that is one of the things. There's like a dozen of things that will actually trigger that due on sell clause. And so they contacted the seller that we got the property from, subject to, and they said, "We've noticed that you've changed title. You are now in violation of the due on sell clause. And
Gosh.
just so you know, every mortgage has a due on sell clause. Don't let anybody tell you that it doesn't.
Oh,
It
absolutely. Yep. I've read the terms. Yes, they all do.
I guarantee it." And so what they said is they told the seller of the property, or the property, "You have 30 days to give us our money, or we're going to come take the house." And it was like $300,000. So
Oh
we
my
were
gosh.
terrified.
Yeah.
And they weren't nice about it. They were making phone calls. They were showing up at our place of employment. They were
They were long.
knocking on doors.
Serious?
Threatening legal action. It
Yeah.
was, and we went and talked to our attorneys, and our attorney said, "Sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. Give them their money, or they're going to take your house."
Okay.
And luckily, we had a partner that we've been doing business with him for about 30 years now. And he says, "Look, you guys, you should have talked to me first, but you need to get what's called a title holding land trust. It's a Illinois title holding land trust, and we have the only patent pending process on how to put these together, so it protects you and the seller and the resident that we put in the property." So and we can explain all that whole process, but you want to have a title holding land trust, and most attorneys won't even know what these are or how to put these together correctly. But there's federal legislation. It's called the Garn-St. Germain Act of 1982. We were very familiar with this because it saved our financial lives. It saved our everything about our investing.
Wow.
What it says is that as long as the owner of the property remains a beneficiary of the trust, when you can move the trust into,
You can move title into the trust.
you can move the title into their trust,
Mhm.
as long as they remain a beneficiary of the trust. And then you cannot call the note due or foreclose on it as long as you're still making payments. And that property, just so you know, when we sent that legislation to them, along with proof that the original seller was still a beneficiary of the trust, they just went silent. They stopped all the harassing, all the threatening phone calls, everything, and we're still making payments on that property today.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to talk to you both. I'm glad to know that there is an option. Is this something I should figure out before we get there? Because it hasn't officially recorded in my name. Should I talk to these guys or should I just wait till, I mean, ultimately, I hope it doesn't get called due, but that's part of why I just wanted to do one, to have
No.
less risk in it. But the way that you're talking about this makes more sense. Doing multiple, what would your
yeah,
recommendation be?
The trust is a asset protection. So
Okay.
like you said, you can put as many beneficiaries in the trust that you want. Typically, when we set it up ours, we have the seller, we have ourselves, and then we have the new resident that we're putting into the property. But like if there's an agent involved, you can set them up, and you could even set up how much they're supposed to get made or paid in the contract when everything's done, and the terms of everything. And it makes sure that there's no he said, she said when you get to the end. There's no fighting if there's siblings involved. It is an awesome asset protection, and I would highly recommend always having property in trust.
Yeah, even your personal
Oh.
property.
Really?
Most try to put it in LLCs. An LLC it only limits your liability. So
Sure.
if you and your spouse are the only two partners in an LLC, you haven't limited your liability at all, because you're 100% liable for everything that goes wrong with that property.
Okay.
We can connect you with our trust people, and we have full legal teams of people that take care of all this and put all your property. You can do this after the fact. You don't need to.
Yeah.
You can close in your name,
Okay.
and you can still come back and clean up the mess later. Our
Well,
trust people.
I feel like this was perfect timing to connect because it's something I have been nervous about. And even though the attorney hasn't seen it, I know it's happened because of the community that I learned about it from. And they're like, "Oh, it's not a big deal," but to me, that's a major deal because my note's like 650.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Well, and see,
Yes.
it'll shake your world. It'll annihilate your financials.
Sure.
If you lose money on one deal, it'll take you out of the business before you get started. So
100%.
yeah,
Okay.
be
Great.
glad
Well,
to help
thank
you
you
out
for
with
that.
that.
Yeah, I'd love to connect with you guys. I really love your energy. And like I said, you're where I want to be in the future. And I've actually been looking for a mentor in the investing space. So yeah, I'd love to speak more about any kind of programs you offer or any way that I could be of value in Hawaii as well.
Awesome.
Oh, that'd be great.
We love connecting. Like I said, networking, working together. We love having partners, because there's enough business out there for all of us to be able to help
That's
each
how
other.
I feel. Yeah, and I'm really good at finding deals. I find a lot of off-market deals. My second, third year in real estate, I was working with a lot of investors, just being kind of their bird dog, hunting, finding legal Airbnb or short-term rentals. And on Oahu, where I live, there aren't a ton of them. So you kind of got to go off market. That's where people hide the pocket listings and stuff. And then I'm also
Yeah.
pretty good at identifying fix and flips. So I would love to talk to you guys more about that.
Wonderful.
I
That's
have
right
said
up our alley.
sometimes it's crazy how the guests always seem to like need to connect, and like you guys are
I-
just, I'm just like,
You
that's
totally said
insane.
that. And
Right.
I love that. Yeah. And I love flipping. My last flip, I made 109% return on my money, which was like crazy. And I'm like, oh, I want to be an investor. Like, I love this side of it. I'm sure there's the bad stuff too, but I see where you guys are coming from. And you said, yeah, I see that I'm making this. The investors are making out like bandits. It's like, okay, how can I be on that side or get a piece of that as well?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
I think this is great. Well, ending on that note, Kelsey, where can we find you if people want to connect with you, including Jade?
Yeah.
Paula?
Yeah, I would love that. So my Instagram is Realtor in Hawaii, REALTOR in Hawaii. Hawaii has 2 I's in it. And my website is kelseycharleshomes.com. Kelsey spelled like KELSEY, Charles like the dude's name, and then homes.com. I would love to connect and talk to anyone about real estate or anything that I can help with. So feel free to reach out. I'm not scary.
Awesome. Thank you. And Jay and Paula, where can we find you guys?
You can find us, usually our best is info@fortunefirepro.com. We provide a lot of like free, we do Facebook Lives and a lot of free trainings and advice, and we'll connect you with all of our partners and legal people, and like we talk with Kelsey about our trusts, and we do all that. I mean, we love partnerships, so we will collaborate and help any way we can.
That's very exciting. And if you don't mind, what's the best Facebook group to find you guys in?
I believe is it going to be the Fortune?
Yeah,
That's where we're going to have to send you a link of the actual group. We usually connect people on a we don't put large, these are like our one-on-one connections.
yeah.
We have
okay.
meetings with them and we get to know them. So it's a private group, it's a closed group, but we would gladly give you access to that so you can get all of our resources and everything.
Yeah, that would be great. If you don't mind, I also followed you guys on LinkedIn, and then my Facebook is just Kelsey Charles. If you don't mind connecting with me, and then I bet we have groups in common too. I wonder if we've like seen each
Yeah.
other around. Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
probably have.
Yeah, so we'll send you the link for that, and also you guys can put it up here in the comments or whatever you need to do. Yeah, so Facebook groups and Instagram.
I'm kind of old school, so I don't know Instagram that well, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. I prefer Facebook personally.
Awesome. That's good. My kids call me old, so it's nice to hear someone younger say, hey, I like
Oh
Facebook.
my gosh. I have an 18-year-old intern who tells me that it's apparently cringe to repost other people's stories on Instagram and that Facebook isn't even cool anymore. But
Yeah.
I made $1 million connections on Facebook, and that's where my people hang out. And I feel like it's more intimate on Facebook. So I'm good with that. She probably doesn't even know what AOL Instant Messenger is.
I don't
So
want
no worries.
So
Yes.
stay on Facebook.
We're getting into YouTube, so, or I mean TikTok. So if you want to see me out there dancing, then that's where you'll find me.
Oh, I would love that. I also just started a TikTok, started to take it kind of as seriously as you can take TikTok. It's Realtor in Hawaii as well, same handle.
Awesome.
What is the magic number for posting on TikTok? Everybody's answer always varies.
Oh, I have no idea.
You have no idea?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
No idea.
You stumped us all.
I heard 4.
Maybe
last
once a day.
time. That was the last one. I think someone said 4 times a day. If you post 4 times a day, you can get that gets you out of the out there. So
I think regardless of the platform, you just need to be consistent. You need to be constantly posting, so people see your content. And the more content you have out there, I mean, it's authentic, right? You can't just repost and copy and this AI stuff that's out there now. You got to be authentic and genuine.
Yeah, totally. And I'm noticing that I will post the exact same video on Instagram versus TikTok. And the one that does the best on Instagram as far as views is the most lonely on TikTok. And the most loser thing I post on Instagram just goes wild on TikTok. Like on TikTok, I notice people, they like property tours more than me interviewing people about houses. So I do something called street interviews where I go and meet homeless people, doctors, like the mega rich, like the cook in the kitchen, the middle class workers, and talk to them about Hawaii real estate. And that did well on Instagram and totally fell flat on TikTok. And people just wanted to see jingle bells and pretty houses and then flyovers and helicopters. So I'm glad that I can repurpose content that doesn't necessarily kill it on one platform. But yeah, I agree. Just like learning the platform, being consistent with it. I don't make enough content to post 4 times a day, but I have heard that it's okay to recycle content that's yours that you made, because the algorithm isn't going to catch everyone right away. But I'm looking forward to see how far if I can grow TikTok as well. But I'm not really sure who hangs out on TikTok besides a bunch of kids.
I will. I'll follow you. I'm on there when I'm up in the middle of the night. I have a baby. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll follow you too. Yeah. Absolutely. I would love to follow you guys. What is your TikTok handle?
I'm Motion Homes Group Megan.
Motion Homes Group again. Okay, adding you right now.
Awesome. This is great. Well, cool. We will go ahead and sign off on this. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful
Yes.
day, and we will connect with you soon.